If you're an online coach and you want to look natural on camera, but you don't, if you're an online coach and you want to look good on camera, but you suck at being on camera. Okay, it's really hard to look natural on camera, right? But good news, you don't have to be perfect. I'm gonna show you my exact method that I use to look natural on camera so that you can relate to who is watching on the other end. And this is the same exact method I use to go from looking like a deer in the headlights to actually making a $500,000 per year coaching brand online. Hey, what's up? My name's Stanley. I help brand new real estate coaches launch their brand and launch their course. So what I'm gonna do today is give you 3 practices that will help you immediately get better at talking to the camera, and I'm gonna give you some actual bonuses at the end of what you can do for more practice so that you can continue to evolve, continue to get better and better and better. Now, I've been on camera since I was 19 years old, basically half a lifetime for me. I know I look 50, I'm actually 38. But my point here is that I've been doing this for a really long time. And the first time I still can remember, man, was I arrogant, was I cocky? I went in there and I was like, I'm gonna crush this thing. I live for this. Because I eventually wanted to be an ESPN broadcaster. But I went in there and I'm gonna tell you, immediately, I lost the teleprompter. I literally look like a helpless child. Even though probably my roommates were the only ones watching this, I just went from like, I don't know where I'm going next. I can still feel my heart drop. I'm getting chills as I'm talking about this. But honestly, that was the best thing that could have happened to me at that time, because it took me out of this state of, oh, I can do this, to like, oh shoot, I got some work to do. And guess what? I still suck. I mean, this video is probably gonna be 10 minutes long, and it probably took me 40 minutes to film it. I probably took 4 or 5 takes every single sentence. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter, because there's this really great thing called an edit button. And even if you take forever to get the perfect take, that edit button is gonna help you immensely. What it can't help with is how you talk to the camera, and that's what I wanna focus on today. And do me a favor, if you like the information, if you like the advice that I give in this video, go ahead and press that like button, and put down in the comments, what was the #1 takeaway that you had that you're going to implement in your videos? So before I start giving tips and everything, the #1 thing that we have to just examine is, why does it feel so weird talking to a camera? I can talk to an audience. You're probably talking at real estate meetups. You probably have gone to, realtors and spoke to them about your exit strategy and how they can bring clients your way. And that might be a room of 10 people, it might be a room of 100 people. You may have spoken in a room of 1,000 people. And it almost feels easier to do that than to just speak to this piece of plastic on a tripod. And why is that? Well, that's exactly why, because it's not a person. It's literally a tripod and a piece of plastic with some glass and some high-tech stuff behind it. That's almost like talking into a mirror. And I don't know about you, but anyone that's ever said, like, practice by talking in front of a mirror, I throw that out the window, because I can't naturally talk to someone. I can't naturally look at myself in a mirror and talk to myself. I feel like a goober if I'm doing that. So what have I done? Well, I've just had to learn how to make the camera a real person. I'll tell you how I do that here in a second. But also, even if you have spoken in front of a camera, maybe you've done it with a friend next to you, maybe you have a video podcast, and it's easy for you because you're like, oh yeah, well, I got my friend next to me, but man, as soon as it's just me and the camera, everything changes. You start overthinking your words. You start wondering how you're looking. You start checking your clothes. Is there anything on it? Is my watch on correctly? You just start overthinking everything. But here's the reality of the situation. The more you perform, the less you relate to your audience. Let me repeat that for a second, because it's important. The more you perform, the less you relate to your audience. I remember when I first got in front of the camera, especially in my sports anchor days. I was a sports anchor right out of college, and I would do all the goofy stuff. I would do all the quirky stuff. And then I look back at that and I'm like, that wasn't me. That was me trying to perform because I thought that's what was going to get views, but that's not what people cared about. They cared about the story at hand and my personal delivery of that story. You clicked on this video not because of me. You clicked on this video because you want to learn how to be more natural on camera. It would do you a disservice if I made this all about me. Instead, I need to make this all about you. So for that reason, that's the first mindset that I really want to drive home to you, is don't make it about you, make it about your avatar. If you haven't figured out exactly who you're serving, then you need to take a step back and you need to decide, who exactly do I serve? Who exactly am I talking to on the other side? I should be able to picture what they look like. Maybe it's a client that you've actually served before. And if that's the case, I mean, literally, if you got to do this, put a picture of that client behind the camera and look at that client instead of looking directly at the camera. Now, obviously put it kind of next to the lens so that, it looks like you're looking at the camera, but that's what I think about when I speak to the camera. I don't think about what do I look like. I don't think about the fact that I'm looking at a piece of glass. I think about who exactly I'm speaking to, and I'm actually picturing clients in my mind that I've talked to in the past. Now, when you do that, it changes everything. It changes the way that you think, it changes the way that you act, it changes your posture, it changes everything. You go from feeling like, I don't know who I'm talking to, so I have to be the perfect version of myself, to, oh yeah, my client Dave, I talk to him like this, and this is how, now this isn't how I want you to talk, we'll get to that in a second, but it's the idea, the mindset of that's who I'm speaking to. So before anything, go right down your avatar. Who is a client that you've worked with, that you've really helped, or who is a client that you envision helping? What do they look like? What's their name? What's their situation? Are they married? Do they have kids? What are the struggles they're going through? What are the pains they're going through? And that's who you're going to speak to when you turn on that camera. The next mindset is you are your worst critic. One of my clients the other day, it's the first time he's been in front of a camera, and I knew I needed to just kind of be there for some moral support. And he butchered a ton, and it was really kind of comical, if I'm being honest. But I even brought him a beer beforehand because I was like, dude, you need this before we start because you are going to be in your head. And unfortunately, he only had like 2 sips of it because he was just so nervous. And that's where you're going to be, but you also need to understand that like he ended up getting the final product from his editor, and he's like, wow, this is way better than I thought it was gonna be. I still think I suck, but I don't suck as much as I thought I did. You're going to be your worst critic, especially when you're in it. Just take a deep breath and give yourself some grace, for God's sakes, that you're going to suck. You sucked at real estate, you sucked at your job, you sucked at coaching, you sucked at whatever your industry was in the beginning. You're gonna suck at this too. Okay, now that you've gotten those first couple mindsets in, let's go ahead and talk about the first practice, which is who you are speaking to. Speak to the camera as if you're speaking to a room of 3 friends. A lot of people give you the wrong information on this. They say, treat the camera like your best friend. That's not correct. When would I ever talk to my best friend like this? This is too energetic. It's too in your face. They would be like, whoa, can you like back up for a second? Whose attention are you trying to get? No, but when you tell a story with 3 people, you're at let's just say a real estate meetup, right? And you're in a group of 3 people, and someone says something that makes you think of a story, and immediately you get kind of like pumped up, you get hyped. The wrong advice is to treat the camera like it's your best friend. Now, if you have 3 of your best friends or 3 clients even that you know very well in one room and you're teaching them something, your posture is gonna get better, your energy is gonna get better, your eyes are gonna get wider, your hands are gonna start moving more. These are all the things that are going to attract people when they are watching you on camera, because they see your energy, which comes across as more passion, which comes across as confidence, which comes across to them as I like this person and I actually want to learn from them. If I were just relaxed, or if I pretend like I was talking to a room of people who are listening to a TED Talk and listen, I would love to tell you about the time that, like that's 7 years ago. Like, no, that's not what we're trying to do. We don't want to be perfect, and that's what you're going, honestly, that's what most people default to in the beginning, is they're going to sound really scripted, they're going to sound really like they're trying to be perfect, they're trying to get the perfect words, and that takes me to practice number 2, which I don't do this anymore, but I used to. Literally put a item on the camera that takes your attention away from the camera. So I used to actually have my notes right here. You can see the camera lens, and I would actually tape the notes right below it, because it would help me stay on task, but it also helped me to kind of like realize I don't need to look at the camera the whole time. I can look down, I can look over here, I can look over here, I can show you that I'm thinking. I don't have to be looking right at the camera the whole time. But what that also does is when you put an item there, and you especially put it behind the camera, which basically, like if I were to, here's my hand here, I would go right behind the camera and I would put, whether it's a picture of your friend, a Post-it note, a star, anything at all, your kid's favorite drawing that they've done for you, just something that you can pay attention to without looking into the camera lens. Put something on the camera that will allow you to look through it instead of at it. And practice number 3, don't use a script, for God's sakes. Use bullet points. Now, if you look, I'm actually showing you the exact notes for this video. Look, notice, none of this is scripted. There's a few little things that get me to understand, oh, that's what I wanted to talk about, and then I just go off the riff. Because if you're truly an expert on something, you don't need a script. And if you do script it, even if you are an expert, it's going to sound like you're not an expert. So for that reason, you need to talk about what you know. You need to put the things that you've actually done in the real world. You've already put these things into practice. You know that you know it. You know if a person came up to you at a real estate meetup and said, how do you do X, Y, and Z, that you'd be able to go off and you'd be able to talk about it. Put those things onto paper in bullet point form, 4 to 5 words per bullet point, just so you know, and you pause. Here's the thing is like this video that I made for you, I haven't been just talking for 10, 15 straight minutes. I talk about one topic and then I go to my notes and I say, okay, what am I talking about next? Okay, I'm going to talk about that next, and then what am I talking about next? Okay, I'm talking about that next. That's how I do my videos, is I just take one little section at a time and I just talk about it for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then I say to my editor, hey, break that down and bring it down to 45 seconds to 60 seconds instead of the full 2 to 3 minutes. By doing that, it just makes everything look so much more natural, plus that edit button is just great for being able to take out all the fluff. Now, as promised, I told you I would give you a few bonuses for practice, so here's 3 bonuses right now that I would do even beyond the practices that I just gave you. Is number 1, just go ahead and record yourself. Like, I've got my lights and my camera and everything set up, and that can be really intimidating, so just take your phone camera and, like, even if it's a selfie, just practice. Like, talk to the camera with something that you know you're not going to publish, and just give yourself a topic. Ask ChatGPT for a topic for all I care. I mean, just something that says, hey, I'm gonna talk for 2 to 3 straight minutes. I'm gonna have a little bit of an outline. I'm gonna press record. I'm gonna just see what happens. And I'm gonna watch it. And then I'm gonna say, oh, I didn't really like how I did that. I'm gonna do it again. And I'm gonna delete it. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna delete it. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna delete it. I'm never gonna publish it because I just want to get the practice. And it sounds goofy and it sounds so cliche, but I mean, it's just like going and shooting hoops. You're not going to go and just get on the court before the game. You're going to get on the court before the game starts. You're going to stretch, you're going to practice, you're going to throw some up at the board, you're going to throw some shot ups, you're going to get all the rust out. And that's what I would do with this as well, is get some of that rust out just by practicing with something you know you're never going to publish. The next bonus is shoot in batches. I already kind of alluded to this. Batch filming in the beginning, don't do this, too much pressure. You'll feel really heavy with this, but after you kind of say, okay, I got one video done, I feel so much better, and you're gonna watch it, and you're gonna be like, ooh, I can improve this. Ooh, I can improve this. Ooh, I can improve this. And you're gonna get to a point where a video that is 15 minutes long used to take you an hour, and now it takes you 30 minutes. And now you can say, okay, I'm gonna go and do that 3 or 4 videos at a time, and it saves you time. You don't have to reset up all your stuff. You don't have to go get redressed. I wear the same thing for all of my videos. I do that intentionally because I film it all on the same day. This is a huge time saver, and it also allows you to be able to focus on the main thing of your coaching business, which is delivering results and not having to worry about coming up with new content every single week. Another bonus is watch and celebrate your progress. What I mean by that is if you don't hate what you looked like 6 videos ago because you've improved so much, then you really need to start watching your videos, because the only reason you wouldn't have improved in the last 6 videos is because you're not watching. Watch what you have done from video to video to video. Identify the spots that you want to get better in. And then when you watch that 6th, 7th, 8th video down the road and you say, man, I don't know if I've really improved that much, go watch the first one again. You'd be like, oh my God, that was terrible. So it's a great time to not be critical of yourself and say, oh my God, I can't believe how bad I was. It's a great time to say, wow, look how much better I've gotten. And at the end of the day, this is cheesy, it's corny, but it is 100% true. You've gotta be you on camera. Don't try to be someone else. Don't try to be this like uber heightened version of yourself. Just go on there and talk how you would talk to, again, a room of 3 people. That's exactly who you wanna be. Just be that person. Be goofy if you're goofy, be strict if you're strict, be a smart ass if you're a smart ass, all the things, just be it. And just remember, every single person started where you started, even if you're starting now, or maybe you're a year into it and you're just trying to get better. I just hope that these practices and these tips have helped you, but at the end of the day, you just have to be comfortable with not being perfect and start being present. Put yourself in the room with the people that you care about getting results, and just get better and better and better every time. That's all you have to focus on. Again, hit that like button if you got a lot of value out of this, and please put down in the comments your biggest takeaway.